Good morning, beautiful people. I hope you're having a great day so far. Hold on, quick thumbnail. Okay. Anyways, today I want to talk about being over pedantic, over analyzing your training, and why that's probably holding you back more than it's helping you. So the chase for being optimal, the chase for the best program, the best split, the best exercise, the best resistance profile, the best volume. It's just, look, at the end of the day, we are chasing millimeter differences. That's what we're chasing. If you have paid attention to any research paper and you look at the units of what they're measuring hypertrophy in, it's millimeters. So that's what we're arguing about. We're arguing about which exercise is going to give me 1 more millimeter of muscle. Really. So what, at the end of the day, man, I say at the end of the day too much. But anyways, it's what matters most is just pick up something heavy, put it back down, and do that until you can't anymore. That's the essence of training, right? Pick up something, put it back down, do that until you can't anymore. Do that 2 or 3 times a week, and you will grow muscle. It's as simple as that. Everything else that we talk about, especially in this whole science-based niche, is just icing on the cake, man. The cake is just intensity and training. It's training hard and training frequently and doing that over and over and over and over. That's what people don't realize, is you have such a short time frame. And I know that a lot of you are young. I'm young myself, right? I'm only 22, but I've already been training for 4 years. And when you've been training for 4 years, you realize that really a lot of this stuff just doesn't matter. It really just doesn't. The little things that you have to do, I'm still progressing I'm progressing damn near every week. Damn near every week. And it's because I trained like an idiot at first. But don't we all, right? The first, you kind of, when you're going to the gym, you have no idea what you're doing. I mean, now it's a lot, well, I don't know. It might be harder now because everyone's saying different things. When I started, everyone was saying pretty much the same thing, and it was wrong. It was to do 4x12 for hypertrophy, and that's how you need to grow. 4 sets of 12, go to failure, do it a couple times a week. But see, that's the thing, is I still grew. And I grew a lot. I grew a lot. I used to be 160 pounds at 6'2". Now, and I was probably the same body fat percentage. Now, I am 215 pounds, give or take, same height, same body fat percentage. So, we're looking at a 55-pound difference. That's a lot of mass that I've put on, and I haven't been training smart the whole time. I thought I was. I mean, everyone thinks that they're doing everything right the whole time that they're training, but they're not. And anyways, I have kind of gotten off of topic. Stop changing your programming. That's what I'm trying to say. Stop changing your programming every week, every month, every session. An unoptimal program that is stuck to a T. Well, I know I talk about, I don't want to contradict myself. I talk about auto-regulation. You should auto-regulate, especially if you're later on in this process, if you actually understand your body and you've learned about it a little bit. But someone who follows their program that isn't very good, maybe it's not the best program in the world, but they're doing the important thing, which is picking stuff up, putting it back down until you can't anymore. They will grow more than the person who is constantly chasing the best programs. They're changing their split. They're changing their exercise selection because you need to learn the motor program for an exercise, and that takes a little bit. The more stable the exercise, the less moving parts that you have, the less muscles involved, the easier it's going to be, right? Coordinating a back squat, a barbell back squat, is one of the hardest things that you can do. But coordinating a hack squat or a pendulum squat is pretty easy because you have a fixed path, but there's still coordination that happens. There's reductions in antagonist co-activation. So when you look at, so an example is a dumbbell presses get a lot of hate now, but you look at Ronnie Coleman, he's the one that everyone just gurgles on his balls. If you look at Ronnie Coleman and you look at his bench press videos of him doing with dumbbells, he looks like he's in a Smith machine. Even though he's pressing 400 pounds, his arm path is perfect the whole time. And that's because he's done it so many times that his brain knows. It's got that motor program down. But you, Mr. Woman, I don't know, whoever you are watching this, you are changing your program up so your brain has no idea what it needs to do, what muscles, because you have, it's called motor unit synchronicity, I believe, and it's essentially you're firing these motor units at the same time. So your brain gets better at synchronizing motor unit firing. And that's one of the biggest neurological adaptations that takes place. And these take time. That's why people say you need to stick with your program for 4 to 6 weeks. So it's a month or a month and a half of sticking with the same program just to get over the neural adaptations phase. And if you're never getting over that neural adaptations phase, you can essentially gaslight yourself into thinking that you're making way more progress than you are. Because you make neural adaptations, and those are really quick. So you can add a lot of weight, a lot of reps. You're going to see a ton of progressive overload, but you're not going to grow. Because you're switching right as you're getting to the good part. When things get hard, that's when you want to stick to it. And worrying about volumes and stuff like that, stick to something for a month and a half, 2 months, then decide, okay, am I progressing? Do I think I could be progressing more? And that's where you'll say, all right, I'm going to add in a set because you feel great and you're recovering and you're like, I think that my chest could do another set. Sure, throw it in, throw another set in, throw another 2. And that, it's just patience, man. Patience is a virtue. And it's just something that not a lot of us have, especially with the gym. I get it. You want to be bigger. You want to have the best program, but it gets almost neurotic to the point where you're not even really chasing progress. You're just chasing the best split for it saying it's the best split. And and you're focusing on variables that don't matter. That just don't matter. The most common one that I see that people focus on and people ask me about is resistance profile. And then my go-to comeback is look at everyone who's built a great chest using the hammer strength presses. The hammer strength presses are the epitome of a terrible resistance profile for the muscle that they're trying to target. They're trying to target the chest, and the resistance profile gets the hardest where it's the easiest where the chest is doing the work, and it's the hardest where the triceps are doing the work. But guess what? You're still gonna grow your chest. And people have built great chests on hammer strength presses. So if you want to get more into the pedantics of it, into the research side of things, sure, resistance profiles probably do have an effect. But again, think back to what are we measuring these at? What's the units? millimeters. We're measuring in millimeters. So just pick it. I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. Pick up heavy rock, put it back down, do it until you can't anymore. And do that for years on end. That's how you get big. Everything else that we talk about, it's fun. I enjoy it. I'm a nerd. I dive into the studies. I'm looking at trying to find what's the most optimal. But half that is for content, and half that is just because I like it. I think it's cool learning about how the body works. I think it's cool learning about the mechanisms and just optimization of anything. I've always liked to be the best at everything that I do. But if you're being so neurotic that you're switching everything up because, what if this is a little bit better? But this is a little bit better. Just ground yourself. Remember, millimeters. Millimeters is what we're talking about. And also remember that changing from suboptimal, so changing from something that's maybe not as good, into something that is hypothetically better, and doing that over and over and over again is not going to be as good as if you just stuck to the suboptimal thing. And basing everything off of theories, that's where I fight back. I used to consider myself a year or two ago, probably two or 3 years ago, I used to consider myself a science-based lifter. I listened to, we'll say 2023, so 2 years ago. Oh my goodness, it is 2026, it's 3 years ago now. But I was listening to Chris Beardsley and Paul Carter on their podcast and how they were hating on evidence-based fitness, and they were like, science-based is the best because we're coming up with the mechanisms and we're looking at how everything works and we're predicting all the outcome data. And if your outcome data doesn't match our mechanism, then something's flawed with your study. And they always had a reason. There was always a reason why this study didn't come out matching their outcome. It was just, the confirmation bias is insane looking back on it. But when we really look at, okay, why is this not showing up in the data? So resistance profiles is a key example. The chest should grow better from a descending resistance profile based on its length to tension relationship. It should grow better from a descending resistance profile. That's not what we see. We had a recent study that tested exactly that. And of course, everyone had problems with it. Everyone had problems with it. Every time there's a study and it goes against some mechanism, people are going to have problems with it. And I agree that you can't just be solely evidence-based. You can't say, oh, well, we don't know. If you can form mechanisms based on the outcomes. But your outcomes should reflect the mechanisms to some degree. Like neuromechanical matching. I got asked about this earlier today, and someone asked me to go over moment arms, and I was like, I'm not going over moment arms because moment arms are dumb. Your brain is not so simple that it's just using leverage to decide what muscle is getting activated and which one's getting more. And if you look at, and also all of our moment arm data is almost 99% of the moment arm data is taken from the Acklin study. We're looking at cadavers. Okay, these are untrained elderly women. That's the moment arms that we're talking about. And again, what are the units? Millimeters. Millimeters are the units. So, do you think that your moment arm for your biceps and your biceps brachialis and your brachioradialis, do you think you have the same moment arms? Yours are the same relatively to Aunt Esther, who died in 1970. And she never picked up a weight in her life because she didn't want to get too bulky. You think that your biceps right here are the same as hers? Because when you look at the moment arm data, the graphs that Beardsley uses, the difference between them, when you say, oh, the biceps aren't getting biased in this exercise, the difference is a couple millimeters. So moment arms are going to be different for everyone. Also, the moment arm data is averages. So it's untrained elderly women mostly, and it's an average of what their muscles look like. Also, the outcome data, neuromechanical, I'm not going to say it's not a real thing. It is a real thing. It's been shown in respiratory muscles. But it has not been shown repetitively in high effort scenarios in bigger muscle groups with multiple moving parts. So, basing your entire training philosophy off of mechanisms, in my opinion, is somewhat counterintuitive. Because then it does give you that confirmation bias that if the outcome data doesn't support your mechanism, something's wrong with the study. And everyone and their mom wants to critique a study. A study comes out, something is wrong with it. And I'm not saying that every study is perfect, right? At the end of the day, see, there it is again. I say it all the time. I need another phrase. If you guys have another phrase for at the end of the day, just drop it in the comments. Because I really need to find something else to say. Because I just say it all the time. Anyways. What was I talking about? Neuromechanical matching. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's always something wrong with a study. There is no perfect study. And if you knew how studies worked, you would understand why. I literally just graduated college in May. Almost a year ago. Man, I'm unk. But I graduated college 8 months ago. I was in a couple studies. It's hard to run a study. You have to set everything up. You have to do your analysis on your sample size. You have to try and get people to do it. And that's the hardest part, is getting people to do it. Especially because of the way that everyone wants, especially resistance training studies, that's the way that everyone wants to do them is almost impossible. You want to take a trained lifter, tell them, hey, let's do this experimental thing to you that might help your gains, but it also might hurt your gains. And the best form of study, let's say we're trying to find what's the best amount of volume for the biceps. So you're going to have, or maybe we'll do the frequency study that everyone wants. Everyone wants to have a 2x versus a 3x frequency and equate the volume. So we're going to say, okay, your left bicep, you're going to do, we have to do 6 sets. So we'll say your left bicep is going to do 3 sets twice a week, and your right bicep is going to do 3 sets, or it's going to do 2 sets 3 times a week. And we're going to see what grows better. That's saying, hey, we're going to create an imbalance in your biceps for 8 weeks. Oh, and everyone wants studies to be longer than 8 weeks. So, hey, we're going to do it for 3 months. So for 3 months, a quarter of a year, I want you to create an imbalance in your biceps for me. You can't train outside of that. Even though, you know how you are a resistance trained guy and you like going to the gym? No more. The only training you're going to do is on your biceps. You're going to have to let everything else atrophy for 3 months. And you're going to come in and you're going to do this study for me. And here's the kicker, we'll pay you $75 whole. Maybe, because everyone wants everything to be MRI. It can't be ultrasound. It has to be MRI. It has to be DEXA. So that's the thing, is they don't have unlimited funding. They don't have unlimited participants. Studies can't be perfect. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. And that's what the science-based crowd will use as a gotcha against the evidence-based crowd, is, but your study's so terrible. Your mechanism's terrible. I can say the same thing. Back to what I was saying. I like just ranting in these videos. I don't know if y'all get anything from it. I mean, barely anyone watches them anyways, but the thing is, stick with your program and just remember that we're talking about everything else. Everything outside of pick up something heavy and put it back down until you can't anymore. Everything outside of that is just the icing on the cake. That is the cake. But everything else is just the icing on it. And you'll progress great if you just do, you can literally do the most simple program that you can think of. Pick a old ass program. Oh, you're gonna do 2 sets of bench to failure, 2 sets of shoulder press, 2 sets of curls and triceps and rows and lat pull downs, and you'll grow great for a while, for a long time. You'll keep progressing. And those guys will progress more than half of the science-based kids, because everyone's so worried about motor unit recruitment, but they don't even realize that you have motor unit deficiencies at first. So you can't even access the fibers that you're so worried about. These fibers that are higher up on the threshold, you literally can't even access them. And you probably won't, because you have so much antagonist coactivation happening that is never decreasing because you keep switching things up. So changing your exercises and changing your split is probably going to be one of the worst things for you. But messing around with volumes and stuff, sure, that's not going to be crazy. That's not going to be crazy detrimental. But just stick with something for a long time and see what works, man. It's just back to the patience thing. Muscle growth is slow. Everyone wants it to be faster than it is, because I don't blame you. I mean, you see dudes juicing that are gaining 40 pounds in a year. You see genetic phenoms that are, because when you look at social media and you see who, like the people, it's the social media, you're just getting the biggest, baddest people on the planet. You're not gonna see the people who are average are not gonna blow up on social media. Even the people who are slightly above average are probably not gonna blow up on social media. Even people who aren't known for their physiques have way above average physiques. We'll call it top 80% physiques. And so when we're just thinking about a general distribution, you probably just need to come to terms with the fact that that your dream physique is out of reach. And I'm not saying that to hurt your feelings or to discourage you. You still should become the best version of yourself that you can. You just might have to ground yourself to reality. If you've been training for 3-4 years, even 2 or 3 years, and you're not very big still, you can't change your insertions, you can't change your structure, you can't change your muscle bellies. So a lot of things are just kind of set. And that's the hard part of bodybuilding and just going to the gym, this sport in general, is so much of it is individual based. And even down to programming, a lot of it's individual based. So just come to terms with the fact that you're only competing against yourself. And I know that that's really hard. And I know that comparison is the thief of joy is such an overblown statement that everyone says, but it's just because it's true. It's because if you just constantly are comparing yourself, you're going to give yourself unrealistic expectations, and you're always going to be disappointed with your growth and with yourself. Look at where you came from. It happens to me. I'm not perfect. Okay, I can say I've put on 55 pounds of muscle I've basically put on a toddler's worth of muscle. I've added a toddler onto my body in 4.5 years. And I'll look at my physique in the mirror and I am like, you look like shit. But you know what 160 pound me would shit his pants if he saw a picture or a video of me from then. So keep your program. Man, I like I said, man, I get off on these tangents and I just completely forget about what the whole point of the video was. Keep your program the same for 4 to 6 weeks. After that, you can maybe adjust. Because again, 4 to 6 weeks is how long it takes for neural adaptation, so you should probably stick with it for longer. You should probably stick with the same movements, the same exercises for at least 2 months. And then you can decide about changing up your exercises. But again, exercise selection is not going to be crazy different. People ask me, oh, should I do a bench? Oh, should I do a fly? Who gives a fuck? Do whatever you like more. That's the thing. The gym is supposed to be fun. It's easy when you've been doing it. Even for people here who've been going to the gym for 4 years, you're supposed to do this shit for your whole life. So have fun. You're gonna burn yourself out if you're just constantly, oh, am I about to get hit? Oh, nope, okay. You're gonna burn yourself out if you're constantly chasing the next best thing and you're constantly chasing trends and, oh, this exercise looks so cool. Just pick a joint action. A bunch of exercises will train that joint action. Someone asked me if I could only do one movement for chest, what would it be? Would it be a press or a fly? And I said a fly because I've never been a fan of pressing. But that's the reason. They wanted some scientific, oh, here's the EMG data, here's the hypertrophy outcome data. I said, honestly, man, I just like doing chest flies. I just love a pec deck. And I have long arms, so bench has always made me feel weak. I always felt like a little girl when I was doing bench press with the football team. My big old orangutan arms. Anyways, I hope you learned something. Peace out. Love y'all.